Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
So our next speaker is Francois Lorin. He's a facilitator of professional development, transpersonal approach courses, a speaker, translator, writer into International Yoga Journal, Vini Yoga translations for the European Yoga Union, and also the TVK dissector. He's the author of the book called Book of Now and Association of Vini Yoga Studies and Meetings for Yoga. Is passionate about Oriental philosophy, Buddhism, yoga, Vedanta, Taoism, Tantrism, and has been 17 years he's stayed in India, including on a land trip via Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Algeria, and Morocco. And this he's made series of journeys from 2000 to 2006. He basically organizes trips and internships and is completely passionate about yoga. So, Francos, here we have your topic for today: need to self-knowledge to go beyond the sense of separation as per Astavakra Samhita. Over to you, sir.
So welcome, Francois, for your wonderful talk. Best wishes. So the talk time is 15 minutes. It will be followed by the talk of Ian Baker. Over to you, Francois Lorin. Unmute, please. Francois.
Sir, could you unmute, please?
En micro, François.
Ça y est. Yes, it unmuted itself. I don't know how. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the invitation. And I have 15 minutes, I think, I believe. So I will be brief. It seems to me that the lack of unity in humankind is a very natural phenomenon, since nature is creating species that compete with each other, but also sometimes help each other, and we are not different. So the project of bringing unity to mankind is a very, very important and at the same time optimistic project. And I believe very strongly that change can happen only if individuals change first. And the change of individuals is limited by what we could call a universal fear. And that fear comes out of a wrong understanding about whom we are. As somebody said earlier, as long as we believe we are a separate individual in a limited body with a limited mind, with limited conditioning, limited power of intelligence, we cannot escape fear, and therefore our behavior will be conditioned by that fear, and that creates separatedness among people and nations, because the other in front might be a danger, and very often is a danger. So unless human beings, and I don't think it can be done collectively, deepen their understanding about themselves and realize that they are not this mortal structure, because the body will die, and with the body dying, most of the content of the body, I mean, what the yoga calls supple, the body will disappear. In any case, the sense of identity will disappear. So unless this is seen as not being ourselves, and unless we discover whom we really are, separation and conflict will continue to be everlastingly present unless we destroy the whole planet before. So I thought I could use this book called Ashtavakra Samhita, but it's just because when André Riel asked me to join, I was rereading this book and I thought it would be interesting to use it. I will start with a quotation from the fourth chapter, which is the shloka number 6, translation in English, not in Sanskrit. Very few know the self. The self is the translation of Atman. as being one without a second and Lord of the universe, the one who knows, acts as he feels and fears not. So the aim of yoga, of Vedanta, but also of all the other schools, darshanas, that have existed in India, is to come to the understanding of whom we are really deeply. By nature, if we look, if we observe ourselves, we see only fleeting elements that appear and disappear in the body, in the mind, in the feelings. But there is one thing that remains, which we cannot really observe because it is not an object. It is the fact of the consciousness through which everything is known. All experiences are known because we are conscious beings. And if we look into what is consciousness, not with the scientific mind, not trying to understand how it comes about and how it manifests itself, but as a private, immediate, personal experience, if you look at yourself now in terms of what is conscious about, for instance, what is being said, you cannot find a form. You cannot find, therefore, a limit. You cannot find a limit in time, because that will mean that consciousness has gone and then you won't be here to witness the fact. And there is no limit also in space. Where can one find a border to consciousness? The second quotation I want to use comes from the second chapter, and it is the 16th shloka. The root of misery, that is the English translation of dukkha, which is a sense of ill at ease. The root of misery, therefore, is dvaita, two. That means division. There must be differences, and there are differences in the world, but there is a factor that creates division between differences. And this factor is not all over the world, in all species. It is very peculiar to human beings. Because we have developed a very efficacious tool for survival, which is the thinking processes. And the thinking processes, they meant to measure and therefore discriminate between events and between facts and between objects. And this is the factor of division. When I call myself a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian, a Frenchman or an Englishman or a Polish man or any activity, even if I call myself a man instead or a woman, this is a division, and this division creates conflict within and without. So the root of misery is dvaita, division. There is no remedy for it except the realization that all objects of experience are futile. The word that is translated as futile is mricha. And also that I am one pure consciousness and taste. The translator in English translated rasa by bliss, but actually rasa means taste. Consciousness is not tasteless. Consciousness is tasteful because it tastes all experiences, while human mind discriminates between pleasant and painful and boring experiences. Life is a journey through experiences, and it includes obviously conflict and difficulties and wars. But if one can come to that with an open mind, one becomes closer to what consciousness is. Consciousness is like an open space. like the room in which I am now. There are many objects. The space within the room does not say to objects, please go away, I don't like you. Or please stay, I do love you. Space in the room accommodates all objects. In the same way, within us, consciousness, which is our true nature, which is self, does not reject or does not cling to any experience. And this could be the model through which any human being can move away from the sense of separation and division and come to a real sense of unity, that sense of unity being called love. Not the love of attraction, repulsion, not the love of attachment, but the love that is open to welcome whatever happens. One more quotation from the first chapter, 19th shloka. Just as a mirror exists within and without the image reflected on it, so the Supreme Lord exists inside and outside of the bodies. So that Supreme Lord, which is pure consciousness, like a mirror, reflects all objects, but at the same time exists whether they are objects or not. In yoga, we try to find a moment, I heard Andre speaking about it a little earlier. In yoga, we try to find a moment where there are no contents so that we discover that beneath or behind the feelings, the emotions, the perceptions, the thoughts, there is a space perfectly silent and perfectly open. Because this is our real nature. So I know how far most human beings are from this realization, but as teachers, we must help at least with a limited number of people, because we cannot reach everyone, to come closer to that realization. Well, I think I am not going to talk too much. I don't know. I have not seen what time I started, so maybe I still have time, but I think I will stop now since there is, I think, a panel discussion afterwards. Thank you very much for having listened to me.